A very good evening to all our viewers, and welcome to today's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host. Let's look at today's headlines. Tonight, we welcome back to the show the Deputy Leader of the Landless People's Movement, LPM, that is Henny Seibeb, who is here to talk to us about the events that occurred in favor of his party yesterday in the Supreme Court and the way forward. Henny, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for inviting me, and thanks to your audience.
Yeah, thank you. You seem to be jubilant. Is it linked to yesterday's victory in the Supreme Court?
Yes, for sure, I'm jubilant. Our members and supporters are jubilant.
Yeah.
But first of all, I have to thank the Almighty, the God, for protecting us throughout this period and for ensuring that justice has been served yesterday. So I'm jubilant, and I say thanks to God and to all the supporters and prayer warriors. We are indeed thankful for them.
Indeed. How are you personally? You were forcefully removed from Parliament in May. We saw ugly images of you being removed out of the National Assembly during the State of the Nation address. Just personally yourself, how are you?
No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, it was disturbing images.
Yeah.
More so to some of my family members.
Yeah.
I have got family members, the kids especially, the ones that are 3 years old, 2 years old. Whenever they see the Parliament building on TV, then they start to complain and say, look, that is where they were beating my uncle. And then when they see the President Hage Geingob on TV, they say, look, that man is evil. He was beating my uncle. So those are some of the psychological impacts that has impacted on some of the family members. And not only the family members, indeed, whenever I visit now and then, my colleagues and some of my friends at their houses, the kids always remind me of that. Look, the men, and if they see policemen, they say, no, those are the people that were trying to beat Uncle Henny Seibeb. So it has indeed played into the psychological effect of our young kids. And I hope Hage Geingob sleeps well at night because he has achieved his goal. And I hope that man, Jarunguru, or whatsoever his name is, I hope the PG did not come back to us. We made a case against Jarunguru and so on. The Prosecutor General did not come back to us. I don't know when she's going to come back to us because the police came and took statements. And we provided our statements and so on. So I'm still waiting. We are still waiting for the final response from the Prosecutor General.
Indeed. Henny, on that fateful day, a lot transpired and people interpreted things in their own way. One of the reasons advanced at the time was to say that the force that was used was necessary because you posed some threat to the president. How did you interpret what actually transpired? That's
a blatant lie. And I know that lie is being perpetrated by people such as Alfredo Hengari, the usual lapdogs of Hage Geingob. That's a blatant lie. Everybody saw it happening on TV. I also have some videos. Actually, what happened, not to implicate myself, is that the policeman, Shuya, came to push me, and I reacted in response of that. The rest is that I don't know how Jarunguru was called in. But he came and he got rid of me violently. But of course, I don't want to expand on this. Kachavivi has now witnesses like Bipua Muharu Kwas, Hamunjera Hambuka, a man who has never said anything in parliament. By the way, I have a complaint also against Hamunjera Hambuka. When I was working at Swartbooi office, a lady came and cried in the office, but I will expand on that one when I'm in parliament in September, because I don't stand for gender-based violence and any man that seeks to reject their own children.
Yeah.
And then Jarunguru and what is the fourth person? Shuya. Those are all Swartbooi people that are apparently going to give witness statements. But it was ugly.
Yeah.
All Namibians saw it.
Yeah.
Ambassadors saw it. The international community saw it. And I stand to reason to say that it was not necessary by Pete Cat to do that. Pete Cat got it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why everything that he has done in his evil mind got rejected.
Yeah.
So when they went to the High Court, they thought, it's the end of the story, we're going to be scared.
Yeah.
But we knew at the High Court there must be something wrong with the judgment. And clearly, the Supreme Court judges said that it was wrong even for High Court Judge Miller to have arrived at such a determination. That's why the judgment is clear. So now we are emboldened by this. And of course, we are not doing this because we want to be Hollywood movie stars or so. No, this is in defense of our democracy. This is to lay a good foundation for our children and our grandchildren to know that any wrong is wrong. Now, in this instant, Peter Kachavivi thought he is the president of the legislature. It's wrong. We are not in some West African country where the president of the National Assembly is having same powers like the president of a country. No, we are not in such a system. Here we look at the rules, we work according to and in the context of the rules. So that must be clear from the beginning. So we are not here to sugarcoat. And I am also a bit disappointed by the coverage by the newspapers. They failed maybe to understand that this is a big case, a test for our democracy, because we are dealing with one arm of the government. The judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. So the legislature was under threat. Mind you, remove the name Peter Kachavivi. If Henny Seibeb tomorrow is the speaker of the parliament, I could have used the same interpretations to deal with my political enemies or those ones, even from my party, that are disagreeing with me. I would have used it. And now the Supreme Court said, no, as a speaker of a parliament, your rule starts here and it ends here. You can't use the powers as if you are some village tin pot dictator to say you are out today. And mind you, not only that, for 3 months, 3 long months, it was too long, that was uncalled for. Any disciplinary committee should be, by the way, in this instance, be completed at least in 3 weeks. But without following due process, he kicks us out first, and then you come back and say, I'm starting the process. And now, on the 15th of August, we are going to be out of parliament for 4 months. What is the plan? Is that how he wants to govern the parliament? So that's wrong, utterly wrong.
Utterly wrong. Tell me, Henny, during the hearing of your case in the Supreme Court, one of the submissions made by Kachavivi, Speaker Kachavivi, he made some submissions in defense of his case to say that he gathered some statements from MPs who expressed that they were afraid of you guys, that they don't feel safe with you in Parliament. You are returning now in September to the chambers. Having won the case in the Supreme Court, does that vindicate your behavior in court, and therefore you will continue with that very behavior? Or is there, in hindsight, did you learn any lessons from it to say maybe we overstepped our presence in Parliament and stuff like that?
Look, the crux of the matter is that whole statement that was generated by Peter Kachavivi is contained of lies and fabrications. For example, if there is a conflict in Parliament, the security personnel at Parliament, the head, the one who now submitted against Ashuya, ought to come to me and to the other person to take statements. Now, in this instance, what they did was, they said maybe in a corner, and then they decided, let me write this statement, saying that Seibeb is violent. But I've never been violent. Even if you look at my private life, publicly, I've never been involved in public violence or beating up people like the other day, the Honorable Member Royal wanted to do with Honorable Tienda. I've never been involved in such scuffles, even at primary school, even at high school, up to the university. I was never involved in such things. The same with Bernardus Swartbooi. He was never even involved in a scuffle outside, even at a soccer field or anywhere. So now, that one, what their plan was to cast us as very violent people, very aggressive people. In fact, to criminalize us to an extent that anybody, an outsider that sits and listens, will now begin to think, hey, these people are violent. And in fact, what they were trying to do was to try to compare us to the Zapatistas movement, the movements like the EFF that seeks to maybe use other means to achieve their ends. They were, in fact, just short of saying that we are terrorists in that parliament. And now they have misled their council. And their council, rightly so at the Supreme Court, was asked that he is overthinking the violence. That's why they planted a gun. And thanks to God and to our prayer warriors, we did not turn up that day at the National Council. Because their plan was to come in, search, and say, you are carrying unlicensed arm, and therefore you are going to sleep in the jail. The next day was a Supreme Court hearing. Now imagine these judges now being told, these guys are so violent, as I'm saying, and they were carrying an unarmed license. That thing could have put us straight into jail. And thanks to God, which we prayed every day, that plan failed. And we were told through our intelligence sources that they were so disappointed. They were so much blaming each other, how they could have thought, because they thought that our advocate, Patrick Gouda, is maybe a bodyguard of one of us or somebody who drives a car for us. And they planted the gun wrongly. And that is happened. But on the other question, you see, is in a radical democracy. That's how we say. In a radical democracy, a parliamentary process will be robust. Without us even being in parliament last week, you saw what has happened. A Swartbooi member, Royal wanted to beat up Honorable Dienda. Now, will the same speaker kick out Royal Maybe we must begin to interrogate these things, because it's very important to understand that the speaker is biased. He only acts against the opposition party members. The other thing, the security personnel at parliament, they are trained in such a way that all opposition parties are enemies of Swartbooi in the state. So therefore, you will see that any report that comes from Parliamentary Protection Services, so-called, will never be, because how many times did, for example, Honorable Pohamba Shifeta threaten me, even inviting me to fight, but you will never find a report. I asked several times that, you will never see a report that castigates to say that Shifeta was wrong, he was threatening Seibeb. No, you will never see that. So we are saying, look, in a radical, robust house, there will be tensions sometimes. You saw it at the Pan-African Parliament, where the best, so-called, of the African parliamentarians are meeting. How it was, very chaotic. Or in some instances in Uganda, you see those MPs standing on tables, benches, and taking those mics or what, trying to fight each other. But we are not at that stage. And I'm very much worried, especially for history, that Swartbooi claims to say that they were freedom fighters and what. How can you be scared of an unarmed Henny Seibeb, one person, or Bernardus Swartbooi? The whole parliament apparently is scared of us. And I saw the headline in Namibian Sun that wrote like that, based on our affidavit, that says that, and Swartbooi MP, some of them, by the way, are not happy because they know it's a lie. They know it's a lie from Professor Katravivi to go and say other members of parliament are scared of us. What if I may be dating one of the MPs from Swartbooi. Is she also scared of me? And by the way, most of them, we are coming from Swartbooi Youth League and other structures. We are friends. We stand outside, we talk. Even now, I'm chatting with members of Swartbooi, ministers, deputy ministers. I'm friends to them. We are family friends. We visit each other at homes. Now, is Kachavivi now claiming that they're, and Utoni them who got a medal for their bravery, maybe for cooking meals in exile. Is he also scared? Maybe they must, so next time they say that we are freedom fighters, also, no. Speaker said, you are all scared of us. But I think what the speaker tried to do was he wanted to raise the specter so that the judges will believe that we are naturally violent people and we are not supposed to be in parliament. But as you said rightly, we are coming back. Will it be the status quo? No. I was specifically instigated. And by the way, my number one witness, because the speaker said, we must provide witnesses. My number one witness is Hage Kengo. He threatened me. He said, Seibeb, repeat those things outside where I don't have parliamentary immunity and I will deal with you. That's what Kengo said. And I responded accordingly in the manner that I know by tearing his so-called Harambe prosperity plan that has failed so far. So it depends in a struggle where we are trying to consolidate our democracy, deepening of democracy, the state institutions, the ones that are always seeing that they are hurt, the ones that are corrupt, the ones that are evil, will always try to use all means to try to cast aspersions on us. In this instance, we were trying to be criminalized. But the judges, in fact, one of them said, to the lawyer of Peter Katsevich, said, no, you are overthinking. Yeah. If you claim these people are violent, where is the evidence? Why didn't you include it here? As part of your documentation. You are just saying the people are violent. If they return to parliament, they will be. But have you ever seen me throwing even a glass of bottle to another MP? No.
I hear you. So tell me, Henny, immediately after the ruling was made yesterday, LPM also had some things to say about McHenry Venani. What is it that you're not pleased about his conduct?
No, he's just a hypocrite. From faking a PhD to try to claim to the world that we are working together in parliament. He says he will show left and turn right. That is a sort of a person. So when it comes to charlatans, and by the way, we have given how many chances to try to work together? We try to work together outside. Venani will go and say things. For example, the interview that their chief whip had, how many things he has said about us. And once we try to say, but look, you say, let's work together. And we are trying to work together, but you keep to continuously to attack us. It's wrong. It was Bernardus Swartbooi who proposed him to be the deputy chair of Kachavivi. But when it comes to privileges committee, certainly, despite all the gun stories and everything, he plays dumb. But when it comes to fighting here and there, Noah and the other cases, he wants to use us. No, we can't be used. So that is a blatant hypocrisy that I'm referring to. And mind you, I think parties like DDA or PTM, as Carl Sledvine will say, don't have that thing of solidarity. Because the leaders are not coming from the background of solidarity. At least we were exposed to that. Solidarity with Cooper, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, ANC, Oliver Tambo, and so on. We are coming from that branch of school. So when somebody says in solidarity, we mean word and deed. We mean we can even die with you in the struggle. But here, it's only for example, there was an issue of the to challenge how the standing committees of the parliament is going to be composed of. We contacted the lawyer that Melissa Ngula. She said she's willing to challenge it. We could have gone to High Court to see whether the make-up, it's always majority Swartbooi, and the other parties are few, and therefore they can even chair, let's say 2, 3, or a committee on economics or what. So we said, let's try to challenge this. In the end, they pulled out, agreed and pulled out. Now, these are things that will have tested whether the parliament rules are relevant or obsolete or not. So people must realize that they can talk as much rubbish as they want to try to see. But we see beyond this. Our lawyers already alerted us Saturday, Sunday, Monday about the appointment of Noah. They told us when Kingop released that proclamation to say Parliament must meet. First, it started as a rumor in the newspapers, Twitter, and so on. And then we contacted them. They said, you must have evidence because the courts work with evidence. Not a hearsay story of, Noah is on some swap or WhatsApp group. What if the man says, no, I'm invited. LPM can also invite me to speak at their conferences, workshops on anti-corruption strategies and measures. By the way, we had councillors' workshops. NAM Power, NAM Water, some government ministries, EIF them. They send their people to come and explain the products that they are offering to us. So there is nothing wrong if Noah is invited to LPM, even though he's maybe invited to Swartbooi even, to explain how ACC works and what strategies they have. But in courtroom, those things must have a basis. And I think it's the threshold is too high to start to say, Noah must do what and what. The very first day, Tuesday, in our opinion, will have been opportune time even to prevent the parliament from sitting already. By seeking an order, I said, no. Technically, don't. Now you join the process on Tuesday, and Speaker in this instance was clever because he played the political parties. He said, all right, let's allow a small debate. They debated. Now when you are there in the mirror, putting your tie, you feel now you are on top of the wall. You are now suddenly Joe Biden. But then he allowed it. Wednesday came, the same speaker allowed them to speak and to talk because the speaker is just gaining momentum to say in the court, no, but they participated.
Everything was.
Yes, until Thursday, I understand, until Friday. And only Friday did they vote, I understand. Now, what other recourse you have? The best thing was to go to court right on Tuesday and maybe to say, let's have this process during a normal parliament time, which is in September. So we are basically saying, in terms of solidarity, it's difficult. I know NUTO is a good party. They always work with LPM. Kawandenge is my little brother, although he thinks he's older than me because he has 1 or 2 cities. Swanu Men is also good. RDP, he's our uncle. He's always a good man. Although he loves cattle so much, he only sends me pictures of cattle and things. UDF, those are, absentees. So it's good. The rest of the parties are good. Really, we work together with others. But with PTM, the problem is they are like kartoffel. They change. Today you are here, tomorrow you don't know where you are.
They flip-flop.
They flip-flop too much like Julius Malema.
The last question to you, Honorable Seibeb, is the issues at the city of Windhoek. Council couldn't sit last week because there was no quorum. IPC sort of withdrew their councillors from council basically, and therefore quorum could not be met. Of course, OPM is not a party to the coalition and everything, but what is your reading of what is happening at the city of Windhoek right now? And is LPM might be seeking to join hands with anyone to form a coalition that is more functional?
I thought when Councillor Sade Kavanas was here, she explained that point thoroughly. Because she is a councillor there. She has much of the nitty-gritties of what is happening. But as a political party, you remember when the newspaper headlines were screaming in January, hey, LPM stayed out, what? In anything, before you enter, you must be sober. So what we were saying is that, look, let's have what we call a memorandum of agreement or memorandum of understanding. first discuss how the alliance should work.
Yeah.
Now, and what will be looking at the manifestos of those that are in an alliance, to look at to say what are the key priority issues, what are the issues that cut across all the political parties.
Yeah.
Let's prioritize them. Is it water, human resource, electricity, employment creation, and so on? And then based on that now, you come to who must fill those positions. So that's how normally, and then you also in an agreement, you include what we call a conflict resolution mechanism.
Yeah.
Without that, because today you have 5 people, you will now start to play around with the others. How will the others relate to you? So that when you take this whole thing to court, the courts must say, no, here are the conflict resolution mechanisms. Even if you have 4, in terms of this agreement, you are supposed to act like this. You can't now get out and etc. So I think with time, it will get better. Whether LPM will now be part of what the governance of the city of Windhoek, basically, to serve maybe in the management committee or be a mayor or a deputy mayor, fate will decide on that one. Once everything is clear and sober, because we will not want to risk our party and the councillors to enter into something that will collapse after 4 months. If one man decides to walk to Okahanja without taking the rest along, it's not stable. So we will really like to, we like stable centers, like Marienthal, Keetmanshoop, Karasper, Koes, Stambrik, Arwap, where we are governing. That's why it is calm. You don't see fights here and there, Arwap, and so on. But now in this instance, I think they must go back to the basics, have their books in order, the document, the agreement, and then they can maybe start afresh.
Indeed. Henny, thank you for coming.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Yes, thank you. That's Henny Seibeb. He's a deputy leader of the Landless People's Movement, of course, commenting on yesterday's Supreme Court judgment that essentially ruled that they can return to the National Assembly, where they've been suspended since May this year. Thank you for watching and good night.
We were born for this moment. For every rise, every fall, to make the impossible possible. To create moments that inspire and live the thrill of excellence.
On the grandest stage of all.
Forget the past, for the future awaits. This is that moment we've all been waiting for pride, for country, for you.
Brilliant performance that was.
The Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. It's go time on GoTV. Love it.
Hello everyone back home. I'm Ilalia Johannes. I'm looking forward for my competition on Saturday, and I am expecting to do my level best as I can.
Hello my fellow Namibians, I'm Reinhold Thomas Ilifa and I'm going to participate on Sunday in men's marathon, and I expect to do my level best as I can. Thank you very much.
Para el 8,